everyone. My name is Yessi. I am the editor of a tech publication called UKTN, otherwise known as UK Tech News. And we cover... Hello. We cover the UK technology scene, and we do that through news, data, and analysis. Very happy to have Jonathan with me here today, because although you are a French company...
yes, we are.
We've covered you quite extensively over the years, particularly when it comes to fundraising. So it's good to put a name. I always say this wrong. Name to the face to the name, face to the name, whatever. Anyway, so you co-founded Talent.io, but to give everyone here a little bit of context, what were you doing before that, and why did you decide to start up the company?
Okay, so Talent.io is the best way to recruit is a tech team. It's a selective recruitment platform. We created 3 years ago. It's a tech product who select candidates and who give visibility after the selection on 2 criteria, on their technical skills and on their commitment to find a new job. And we give them visibility on the platform for 1 month to make sure that they can be approached by selecting companies. We created this 3 years ago. We had a lot of growth, specifically at the beginning in Paris. We are now 100 employees in the company. We fundraised 10 million euros, and we are now in 3 countries, with 1 office in Berlin with 20 employees, 1 office in London, also with 20 employees, and the headquarters in Paris.
Cool. And you touched on it briefly just then when you were talking about the USP a little bit, but who would you say are the main competitors in the space? And aside from what you've already touched on, what sets you apart from them?
So this market of recruitment is a big market, old school market, mainly owned by the recruitment agencies. And for the last few years, a lot of tech actors try to take a lead on this market. First, LinkedIn and social networks and different type of platforms. The selective recruitment platform is quite a new model, who was created a couple of years ago. And we are the main competitor in Euros. There are dozens of startups who try to fundraise and to make a similar model now. We have also 1 big competitor in the US and a couple of competitors in Asia too. Okay,
and you've been going for 3 years, is that right?
It's right.
Right. So when we were talking offline, you were telling me how you grew from a 3-person startup, so you and your other 2 co-founders, all the way through to 100 people. That, I imagine, comes with a lot, in 3 years, I might add. So I imagine that comes with a lot of teething problems. So tell me what part company culture has played in that, and what kind of problems you came across, and how you're probably still seeking to solve them. But tell me a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of points to work on to create what we created in 3 years. I'm really happy because when I talk with people, I feel that they feel good in the company, and we only had less than 10 people who left the company for now, in 3 years, which is very low in terms of turnover. But mainly, the main points I will remember on this job of scaling the team is the culture point. We try to create a very strong culture inside the company to make sure that people are really strongly committed. With this new generation of people, they need to create a sense about what they are doing. They need to be useful, to feel useful, and we create a full structure around this. First step was, after 20 employees, to create the values. We create 3 values, which a lot of companies are doing. Our values are take ownership, make impact, and think team. But the most important is, when we created the value, is that we wanted to make sure that they could be achievable and actionable. And for example, for taking ownership, which is our main value in the company, we decided to work in a flat organization. And this flat organization, what the usual companies are giving the projects they give to managers. We decided to keep it, to divide it by little tasks, little projects, and give it directly to all the people in the company. So it created directly an ownership about every single project. They create a special link with the company, and it helped a lot for the commitment and for the growth. For example, last year, this type of projects, we call it the roles. And for example, last year, we gave 80 roles to the employees of the company. They are not paid more for that, but they were really happy to work on it, to help the company for something else than the job they do in the day-to-day life. And from this, what was cool and we didn't plan for, we saw leaders coming from these roles, and we created our management layer when we achieved to be around 50 people, only coming from this. So we did not hire any managers. All the managers are coming from the existing first base of employees.
So you have a developing talent pipeline within the business.
Exactly.
Okay. And I mean, that totally resonates with me, because I think particularly people from my generation, I'm not Gen Z, by the way, I think we often go to work not simply because we get a salary. It's about actually feeling something that you believe in. So it's the mission and the vision, and also being passionate about what you do, but feeling valued by your employer. So you've raised 10 million euros. Tell me about that process. I speak to founders all the time, and they tell me that fundraising is probably the most stressful thing they've ever had to do, and it takes up way more time.
I hate it. It's probably the worst thing I have to do as an entrepreneur is to make fundraisings. You waste a lot of time,
yep.
and you can't really follow your business for months, and you try to make things are going good everywhere, so it's always a bit of a headache. So we made a seed round of 2 million, yep. And we made a Series A of 8 million 1.5 years after. What I can remember about the seed round for those who wants to make a seed round, we had a very successful process, as we saw only 6 VCs, and we had 5 term sheets.
Okay.
Which
yeah.
was great actually, and we are really happy for that. We didn't think that it could work like that, but I think there is 3 reasons for that. The first reason is the market. I think it's really complicated for VCs to invest in new markets, in markets they don't know, in markets
sure.
will not exist. When you create a new need, it's very difficult. We are working on the recruitment business, which is one of the biggest business in Europe. The headhunting IT headhunting business in Europe is 5 billion, 8 million jobs, 7 million resources, so it's big. And the market is not not disrupted yet, not turned from the offline to the online. So first, it's very good. Second point, we were a team of founders we had the chance to have a past success, so it helps also probably, but we are complementary. Okay. So my 2 co-founders are coming from Silicon Valley. One works at Apple and is a great tech engineer. The other one also created with the first one companies that is sold to TripAdvisor, so they have a tech profiles who are very exciting, and I have a business experience on my side, as I created on my side 10 years ago a recruitment agency who became a leader in France on the IT market. Okay. So I think this is the second point. And the third one, if I remember it, early results. It's very difficult for a VC to invest on something, on a product who do not have early results. Very difficult for people who need to spend a lot of money in prototypes, which was not our case. We had an MVP, and we had already a couple of maybe 100 companies who were using the platform, and already 10 or 12 recruitments done. So it shows that it can work. I think this is the 3 keys to make sure that it could work for the seed round. For the Series A, it's a bit different because now you have data, and the data will talk from you, and you also have to make a very strong projection that you don't have on the seed. And for the Series B, I can't really tell right now.
And so, just for reference, who are you backed by?
Sorry?
Who invested in you? Who are the investors?
We have two tier one VC from France, one called Alven Capital, the other one called Ventec. And
so two of the most well-known ones in France, as far as I know, right?
Sorry?
Pretty prominent VC funds in France.
Yeah, it's one of the 5 top VCs in France, yeah.
Cool. So you mentioned earlier that you have a presence here in London, in Berlin, and Paris.
That's right.
So I imagine each of these territories come with their own set of challenges and opportunities. So from your experience, what has that been like in all 3 different cities?
That's I try to not give cliche about that because it was funny because we launched Berlin and London almost in the same time, so we saw such a different culture in London and Berlin, like the opposite actually, with different difficulties. First, London, that was crazy, the cost we needed for London. The marketing cost is maybe 2 to 3 times bigger than the other countries. So it was a big investment. And we saw also that we are in the market, which is crazy in London, because the recruitment market, you know, the big recruitment agency, 50% of their whole turnover in the world is in UK. Yeah. So the recruitment market in UK is absolutely amazing. 8 people on 10 find a job through a headhunter in UK. It's only 2 on 10 in France or in Germany. So the market here is so crowded, so we knew that we need to scale directly to a very decent team to make sure that we can have an impact on the market. So it was not the idea to just launch by hiring 2 or 3 sales. So we have a team of 20 people, 10 talent advocates, 10 sales executives. We have the product team work specifically for them from Paris. And I think it was a good way to make sure that we can leverage this on London.
Cool. And there's some really good questions coming through, actually, so I'm going to crowdsource them a little bit. I haven't got my glasses, so that might be a little bit tricky. But 3 years on, one of the good questions is, have you given shares to any early employees? And if not, why not?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I'm a big defender, and I want to tell it, of startups who give shares to every single employees.
Okay.
This is my point of view, and it's more or less what's happening in the Silicon Valley too. I don't think that giving shares only to key employees, even to key employees, it's enough, because I think that it's a very strong management process, and it creates a strong link. The thing is that it needs to be done in a very good process way, pedagogically, in the good time, we created something very strong legally and pedagogically. We bring the team to a startup retreat to announce it. We also followed up by doing one-to-one with founders, with every single person on the team. We were 50 at the time. And I think it increased a lot what we try to do with the culture by creating a strong link between the company and the value of the company and the employees. Are
you still involved in the hiring, or is that something that you do less and less?
Actually, I would like to not be involved, but every time we have a discussion with my HR, we know that it's too important, even for the vision we could have a new employee, and even for his onboarding. So we just created a new project when we hire someone. As we hired 5 people per month, we created a talent university. So we bring new people from London and Berlin to Paris for a couple of days to give them a great onboarding. And depending of what will happen here, maybe I will go out from the process of recruitment.
Cool. And then another great question is, what is your favorite part of your job? And I'm going to be a little bit of a devil's advocate and also ask, what's the worst part of your job?
The worst part, I told you a few minutes later, it was about fundraising for sure.
Oh, of course, yeah. You said you hated that, yeah.
The good part, I think, it's when we achieve new steps. Every time it's quite a challenge. I never managed a company of 100 people before.
Okay.
And it's my first time. And to see that now the values create new projects, new leaders who have the complete autonomy about a new offer, about the diversification, about a new city launch, about a lot of stuff. it creates a lot of joy because I feel that we create something strong who can scale now.
Okay, and another question is, which is very interesting, because obviously hindsight is a beautiful thing, but looking back at these 3 years, what, if anything, would you have done differently and why?
Whoa.
Easy one there.
Actually, I know that we made a lot of mistakes because probably every week I said, "Oh, it was a mistake."
Okay,
in my mind.
fair enough.
But I don't have a specific answer to this one.
What was the mistake you made this week that you said, this week we've made a mistake?
I didn't follow a process of event management that maybe we can help them to make sure that they would have more success, for example.
Fair enough. I don't know how we're doing for time, but I imagine there's no time left. Okay.
There's never time with you. Never enough time.
But just to finish up very quickly, what's next for Talent.io and what can we expect to see from you over the next year or so?
Yeah, so today we are in 7 cities in 3 countries. The goal is to be in 30 cities at the end of 2019.
Okay.
This year we'll probably succeed to hire to hire for our clients 2,000 engineers, which is quite good, and we have a big objective internationally, specifically in London, as the growth is really good.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
And thank you to everyone. I know it's really hot in this room, so appreciate you sitting in on this session. Thank you.
Thank you.